What if I told you that the biggest mystery in physics, the so-called theory of everything, wasn't actually a mystery at all? What if the answer was found years ago and somehow we all just missed it? Well, today we are diving into one author's incredible story of discovery and what they call a great scientific trap. Right off the bat, our source material just throws down the gauntlet. It's challenging this entire decades-long hunt for a final theory. The author's claim is pretty bold. The answer isn't some far-off discovery waiting to happen, but something that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. So a claim this big, where does it even come from? Well, the author grounds it in their own personal history, in a section they call, pretty fittingly, a theory at my fingertips. Okay, so here's the absolute core of the claim. The complete theory wasn't locked away in some high-security lab or hidden in complex experimental data. Nope. They say it was accessible to literally anyone with an internet connection, thanks to a PDF document that apparently showed up online all the way back in 2007. To back this up, the author kind of walks us through their own story. It starts with that classic childhood fascination with physics and space. This isn't just a passing interest, though, because by 2009, they're writing their own code to calculate black hole orbits. This whole journey of self-study really comes to a head in 2012, a year they felt they'd finally cracked the code, mastered the fundamentals, and truly understood what Einstein was dreaming of. And this whole journey of self-study, it leads directly to how the author interpreted a world-shaking event in modern physics, a moment that for them would change everything. All right, so let's set the scene. Picture it. It's July 2012. The entire scientific world is just buzzing. Headlines are popping up everywhere, all proclaiming the discovery of the Higgs boson, famously nicknamed the God particle. It was a massive moment for the standard model of physics. And then, up at the podium at CERN, teen leader Joe N. Candela says these 5 famous words: "I think we have it." A simple, triumphant statement, right? Well, according to our author, the world was about to completely misunderstand what it really was. And this, right here, is the fork in the road. While the mainstream worlds, all the news outlets, all the other physicists, heard confirmation of the Higgs boson, our author heard something way, way bigger: the announcement of the complete theory of everything. 2 totally different interpretations of the exact same event. You have to understand, for the author, this was a huge moment of personal validation. They weren't just watching from the sidelines. They literally had, and I'm quoting here, the equations wrote up on my computer in a LaTeX file. They believed this announcement from CERN was the global confirmation of the research they had sitting right there, ready to go. But then, in the weeks that followed, the author's excitement turned to confusion, and then to total dismay. They argue that the entire scientific community fell into what they call the great scientific trap. So what exactly is this trap? The author defines it as this massive collective delusion, the belief that the theory of everything is still out there, undiscovered, and that mainstream physics is, heading in the right direction to find it. And this so-called delusion is built on 4 key pillars. Now, these are widely held beliefs in physics, like the idea that quantum gravity is non-renormalizable, which basically means our math for it just falls apart and gives you crazy, nonsensical answers. But from the author's perspective, these aren't facts. These are the very misconceptions that are holding science back. And you can really feel the frustration and maybe even a sense of betrayal in this quote. They truly believed a great truth had been revealed to the world, only to watch as it was immediately misinterpreted or just forgotten. For them, that was the real tragedy of 2012. Okay, so if the scientific world be caught in a trap, what's the key to unlocking it? How do you get out? Well, according to the author, it all comes down to a fundamental rethink of how we understand fields. This right here, this is the big paradigm shift at the heart of the whole argument. It's a move away from what they call the old paradigm of quantum particles to a new paradigm that's all about a classical relativistic field theory. Basically, it's about shifting our focus from tiny, discrete little dots, particles, to continuous, all-pervading things called fields. Now, what's interesting is the author isn't saying, hey, throw out all the old physics. It's more like they're saying, we need to see it correctly. They argue that pioneers like Dirac, who studied electronic fields, and Maxwell, with his optic fields, were both absolutely right. The problem, they claim, is that the scientific community after 2012 had just fundamentally misunderstood how these two types of fields actually work together. Now, you might have heard other well-known physicists like Frank Wilczek or Sean Carroll use the term core theory, but our author argues they're still stuck in the old trap, seeing it as just a good enough approximation. For our author, the core theory is the real deal, the final, complete picture, period. And this is where the argument takes its final, and honestly, its most startling turn. The author suggests that this massive misunderstanding in the world of physics might not be an accident. What if it was all deliberate? So where did all this confusion come from? According to the author, you can trace it all back to the name itself. They claim the term quantum field theory is inherently misleading and is the root cause of the entire problem. And this table really lays it all out side by side. We use the term quantum field theory, but the author insists that reality is a classical realistic field theory. We talk about quantum particles, but they say the physics actually emerges from fields, not particles. It's almost like the word quantum just got slapped on there and stuck. And this leads us to the most conspiratorial claim in the entire text. This person suggests the confusing terminology isn't just some historical accident, it's intentional. The new standard, they write, is supposed to bring confusion, as that is what the elite want. And so the source material leaves us with this really challenging question. If the experts themselves are lost in a trap of their own making, what hope is there for the rest of us to ever understand the true nature of reality? It's a really provocative thought to end on, one that kind of forces you to question everything you think you know.